Are you thinking about moving to Norwell, Massachusetts? Well, let me tell you, I know a little bit about it. I've lived on the South Shore for decades, and Norwell is a small suburb south of Boston, about 20 to 30 miles, depending on where you're coming from. I've lived in a couple different areas on the South Shore, and if you've seen my other videos, I talk a lot about the different towns on the South Shore. So I do know a little bit about Norwell, Massachusetts. I have plenty of friends that have moved to Norwell when their kids were little. They raised their families there, they stayed forever. And I have other families who are looking at Norwell as an option amongst other South Shore towns, and we realize it's just not the right fit for them. So in this video, I'll be telling you everything you need to know about living in Norwell, including things to do, the schools, the real estate, restaurants, retail shopping, and everything in between. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hey, I'm Katie Norton, and I'm a realtor in Massachusetts. This channel is all about helping you know about living on the South Shore of Massachusetts. So subscribe if you haven't, and if you're thinking about moving to the South Shore area, please give me a call. I love helping everybody and educating everybody about the South Shore, especially from my YouTube subscribers. In fact, just this coming weekend, I'm going to be touring a young family from the DC area who is relocating to Boston, and one of their top places to live is on the South Shore. We've been doing face-to-face calls. We've been doing lots of phone calls. We've been online. They've been sending me things. I've been sending them things. This weekend, they're coming up and we're going to tour the whole South Shore and really narrow down to which town is perfect for them. So without further ado, let's jump into everything about Norwell. So let's start off by talking about the population of Norwell. It's approximately 11,000 people. So you really have that small town suburban feel and the charm of a small town. In fact, Norwell is located 20 to 30 miles southeast of Boston, but it's a little further away from the shore. So you're going to have more of a rural feel than a place like Hingham or Milton or Quincy. It's going to be more rural. There's more farm area. There's more acreage. You could drive down a very long, windy road and, only see 4 or 5 houses along the whole way. There's a lot of open space and open areas. There's a bunch of parks and lots to do outside. So if you're the type of person that wants to live 2 minutes outside of the city, you want the hustle and bustle of a city life, then Norwell is not for you. But there are plenty of amazing things about this charming town that would be for somebody who's looking for a little bit more space. It's got that small town feel without those bigger box stores. And you are going to have to drive a little ways to go to those type of stores, but really just around the corner. But if you're looking for those big box stores, you can head over to Hanover, which is just a little bit south of Norwell. The reality is Route 53, which if you've seen my other videos about Hanover, Route 53 is a mecca for those big box stores and big restaurant chains and fast food chains. And Route 53 actually continues from Hanover up into Norwell. But once you get into the Norwell side of Route 53, you're going to find smaller restaurants. You're going to find those smaller boutique stores, just really unique, a lot of antique stores, some other unique places that are different than the big box stores. As you follow along Route 53 and you get into those charming little antique stores and things, you keep going further north towards Boston, you are going to come across some great restaurants in Queen Anne's Corner. Queen Anne's Corner is the intersection where Hingham, Rockland, and Norwell all meet. And this is a place where all of a sudden those big stores come alive again. So you've got this little pause while you're in Norwell, and then the big stores come alive. You've got your TJ Maxx's, your Home Goods, your Home Sense. You've got some grocery stores. You've got a couple car dealerships, got some fast food restaurants, and most importantly, you have a couple restaurants. One of my favorites is Strawberry Fair. If you are just visiting Norwell, if you're living here forever, if you're on Route 53 for any reason, please stop by Strawberry Fair. It is the cutest little antique house that they turned into a restaurant, and it's got the most amazing breakfast and lunch items. That's all. They just serve breakfast and lunch. I think they do dinner sometimes, but I'll have to check on that. I always went for breakfast and lunch. In fact, when I lived in Hingham, it was our go-to spot when the kids had a day off from school, whether it was a planned holiday or a surprise snow day. We were at Strawberry Fair, no question. Another place in Queen Anne's Corner that I really love going to, again, this is just the intersection of Norwell. It just shows how conveniently close Norwell is to some of the other places. And one of the restaurants is Scarlet Oak Tavern. Beautiful venue. You could go. It's a bar, restaurant. It's also an event space. A lot of people will host their bridal showers, their baby showers, their 50th birthday, their 50th wedding anniversary. Nursery, whatever. Scarlet Oak is the place to go for that. If you keep going north, as if you're heading back to Boston, just before you get on the highway, you're going to come to Derby Street Shops, which is a gorgeous outdoor shopping venue that has every store you can imagine. And if you've seen my other video on Hingham, or if you haven't, go check that out. And I talk extensively about the retail and the restaurant there. But for now, let's go back to Norwell. So as you can tell, the way that Route 53 runs from Hanover to Norwell to Hingham, it really changes and it really contrasts the difference between the three towns. And I just want to point out on the map, if you can see it, the green areas, that Norwell is mostly green, which just tells us that this is a very rural area, that there's not a lot of development that has gone on over the years. Aside from a few brand new neighborhoods, there's not a lot of building that goes on in Norwell. And then you go further up, you're going to see Hingham. You're going to get closer to the coast with Hingham, and it's going to be a lot more built up, a lot more houses, a lot more stores. As you get into Weymouth, Weymouth is almost that's a little bit more city feel, to be honest with you. If you're on the South Shore and you're talking about Weymouth, you're talking about a really busy town. That's where the South Shore Hospital is, just as an example. Back to Norwell, you're going to get this rural, charming, quaint feel. If you love those feels, you're going to love Norwell. Just in talking about geography and the location of Norwell, as I said, you've got Hingham to your north, and then to your south, you're going to be driving down to Marshfield, Scituate. Again, these are coastal towns, so you're going to go southeast to get to these towns, and then keep going further, you're going to run into the Cape and the islands. So Norwell is pretty conveniently located further down on the South Shore. I don't usually do that. I'm not trying to talk you out of living in Norwell. I'm just trying to let you know the specifics of this particular town. From my friends' perspectives who have lived here their whole lives, they really love it. So let me tell you about some of the reasons why you should live in Norwell. For one, it's the public school system. According to niche.com, they give Norwell an A. That is a great grade. Norwell, of course, with only 11,000 in the population, they have 2 elementary schools. The 2 elementary schools, K through 5, they lead up to 1 middle school, and that's 6, 7, 8, and then it leads up to 1 high school, 9 through 12. Norwell High School is known for its academic excellence, and the graduating class is typically between 150 and 180, so you still have that small town feel. And if you want to know, the mascot is the Clippers. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I talk a lot about also the accessibility to private schools in New England. And again, this is a personal choice. I always like to talk about the public schools because almost all of the public schools in all of the towns on the South Shore offer excellent public schools. So there's no reason to send your kids to a private school. In the case that you do want to send your kids to private school, Norwell has excellent accessibility to places like Thayer Academy in Braintree, Milton Academy in Milton, Boston College High School for boys in Dorchester, and Notre Dame Academy in Hingham, and that one's for girls. There's plenty to think about when it comes to education and where you want to send your kids, and I'm happy to talk more about any of those things as I have experience in both the public schools and the private schools on the South Shore. Now let's talk about some things to do in Norwell. As you saw in the map earlier, the amount of green rural space is excessive in Norwell, but some of it is beautifully landscaped walking trails and parks that you can go to. You're close to Wampatuck State Park, which I've mentioned before. Thousands of acres of walking trails and biking trails. Norris Reservation is another place that's beautifully curated with walking trails and jogging trails. Go spend some time at the North River. The North River is actually a river that runs through Norwell, and it dumps you out into the ocean over by Marshfield and Hummerock. And so a lot of people love to go and walk on those trails. The scenery is spectacular along the North River, especially in autumn. If you know anything about New England, you know that our falls are just breathtaking. So if you happen to live in Norwell, summertime you're near the beaches, but in the fall you have this beautiful scenery to walk through. One other thing that I'd like to mention about things to do in Norwell, we have our own active dairy farm. It's Hornstra Farms, and it caters to all the towns in the South Shore. In fact, on the daily, I have a little bit of Hornstra Farm cream in my coffee every morning. And when my kids were little, we had tons of things delivered, like yogurt, eggs, milk. You can get ice cream delivered. So definitely look into that. It's just that, again, it goes back to that small town, charming feel where you literally have a milk truck drive up to your house, walk up, put the refrigerated stuff into a little refrigerated old-fashioned milk box. So that's something I love, and that is located in Norwell. There's also plenty to do if you're active, like tennis or golf. I've mentioned in some of my other videos, there's a YMCA in Hanover. You can go back and hear all about that, but it's just pickleball, tennis, pools, workout gyms, childcare, all the things you need in a YMCA. And then in Weymouth, just north, you have the Weymouth Club, and that's a private club. Again, it's going to give you all the amenities of a private club like tennis, pickleball. That one actually has even more. It has like a spa, Pilates studio, they have private classes, they have childcare, they have gym workouts, they have private trainers. So whichever way you want to go, you'll be able to find something for your wellness and your health, even living in Norwell. Another thing I would like to talk about is the South Shore Natural Science Center. And this is fully volunteer space and works through donations from the community. And one of the great things they do, it's all about outdoor and nature and science. And it's really popular amongst the field trips for the younger kids. Whether it's a preschool, they cater to the age group of the kids, and they really teach them about just the beautiful nature that we have down here in Norwell. So that was a fun place I used to like to go with my kids when we were just looking for something to do and just to be outside. And again, that's a great field trip spot. Another thing in Norwell is the Company Theater. And the Company Theater in Norwell is a treasure. It is really almost an unknown treasure. And I've gone to a bunch of wonderful performances there. And to me, I feel like I'm watching a show on Broadway. I mean, the talent that these kids and these adults put into these shows is really like no other. So if you do make it down to Norwell, that is a real treasure. And you can make a full night out and not even go into the city at all. So earlier when I was talking about Route 53 and how it runs through Norwell, and there's plenty of restaurants, Hanover, Norwell, and Hingham. Specifically, I want to talk about two restaurants in Norwell. And one is called the Tinker's Son. And this is an Irish-American bar. So you can guess it's very much pub food and pub style. But the great thing about the Tinker's Son is they do live music. And so you might have someone who's just, been strumming along on the guitar and singing along, or you might have a full band that's come in to perform specifically for a concert that the Tinker's Son is promoting. So that's a really fun place just to get together with friends, family, whoever. The other one is Trattoria's San Pietro. And this has just got that gorgeous Italian Tuscany feel. You feel like you've been transformed to Italy in a restaurant in Tuscany when you walk through here. The stonework is just gorgeous. It's truly like you're transported somewhere else. So the food is fabulous. The food is just delicious. It's a little higher on the higher end side of pricing, but you're really getting an experience there that you're not going to really get anywhere else. So I highly recommend that restaurant if you have a special occasion, a birthday, an anniversary, or a graduation, something you want to celebrate. So now let's talk about Norwell real estate. According to Zillow.com, the average home price in Norwell is approximately $979,000, actually up 7% since last year. So it just shows you that Norwell is continuing to hold its value and increase in value over the years. The thing about Norwell real estate is it's so diverse. There are so many different types of homes you can buy in Norwell. You could buy an older antique farmhouse, colonial style, with tons of acreage. It could be one that's already been updated and renovated, and so that's going to cost you a little bit more. But you could buy one that is 50 or 60 years somebody's lived there, and the house was built in the 1800s. So you can take it over and really put your stamp on it. So I love these two, that really Norwell has this beautiful extra architectural feature that some places on the South Shore do not have. In addition to the old antique farmhouses, whether it's updated or not, we also have brand new neighborhoods. If you are looking for a large, oversized colonial, 2 to 3 car garage, 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, a place for a workout area, a big backyard for a pool or a swing set or whatever it is you want, fire pit, an outdoor kitchen. In Norwell, we have those neighborhoods too. And those are popping up all over the place. They're a little bit more expensive. They're a little on the higher side than that $979. You're looking at sometimes a brand new, large, oversized colonial could run you up to $2.2 million. But again, you're getting larger square footage, you're getting a larger acreage, you're getting all the bells and whistles of a modern build. And actually, Norwell is a little bit less expensive than some of the other South Shore towns that are closer to the coast. So you can get a little bit more bang for your buck if you just come a little bit further away from the coast into a town like Norwell, and you can get into one of those neighborhoods. So let's use this house at 139 Summer Street in Norwell as an example. This house is about 4,000 square feet. It's got 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and it's listed at 1.97. You can scroll through, you can see the photos. It's going to be an updated version, a nice modern home with all the bells and whistles, a beautiful backyard, very updated. And it's going to be higher than that average home price for Norwell. But if you're looking at somewhere on the South Shore, this home is actually going to give you the square footage, the acreage, the updated appliances, everything you're looking for less than some of the other towns on the South Shore that might be closer to Boston or closer to the coast. So if you're really looking for a value, I think Norwell is the place to look. Another example we can look at is 67 Central Street. This is going to be an antique home that was built in the 1800s, but someone came in and renovated it. And so the interior is going to be updated with all the bells and whistles you're looking for, but the exterior is still going to have that charm of that antique colonial. This particular house is located on 2 acres of land, and it's in that price point of that just under $1 million for 3,000 square feet. And this home has 4 bedrooms and 3 baths. So again, it's really going to be, what style are you looking for? Are you looking for the charm of an antique colonial, or are you looking for the shininess of a brand new house? Either way, you're going to be able to find something that you love in Norwell. So if you're thinking about moving to Norwell or any of the South Shore areas south of Boston, please give me a call. Here's the thing. These videos are meant to be just a little taste of what it's like to live in these different towns. I like to give you sort of high-level facts about everything. But the reality is, when you call me, we're going to talk. I'm going to listen to what you have to say, what you're thinking about, what your needs are. It's not just about checking a bunch of boxes and us just finding something on the computer. You're going to come. We're going to go for a drive. I'm going to bring you to my favorite coffee shops. I'm going to drive you by a bunch of houses, a bunch of neighborhoods. I'm not here to sell you a house. I'm here to find you a home. And most importantly, I want to find you the neighborhood that you want to live in, because that is sometimes more important than what you're seeing on the screen. So as an example, I was telling you earlier in the video that I have a client coming up from DC. We've already made a full plan for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sometime they're going to do it on their own, and sometime I'm going to be touring with them. The goal at the end of this weekend is for me then, when they go back to their home and they get back to their busy life, I'm still going to be working for them here. I'm going to be touring neighborhoods and finding the things that they want out of their next town, their next home, their next neighborhood, without them having to be here. Then when I find stuff, we're going to FaceTime. We're going to maybe do another quick visit. But it's meant to educate. Education is the most important thing. So please, if you find these videos helpful, please just give me a call, because there's nothing I like more than educating people on this beautiful place I called home, the South Shore of Massachusetts. So if you like the videos, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next video.